We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop.
Bailey Broadcasting Services premiered one of the most exciting and informative programs to ever hit the airwaves. Now, this contemporary classic is back. King, from Atlanta to the mountaintop. 3 of the most captivating hours ever heard on radio have returned to inform and inspire audiences once again. King, from Atlanta to the mountaintop. An insightful look at one of the most remarkable men the world has ever known, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., hosted by one of the most commanding personalities in radio today, Lee Bailey.
They were years that reshaped the world. Of 100 American cities. They were years when one voice preached hope and ideals and faith in the ultimate good in man.
Winner of the SEBA Award for Excellence in Minority Broadcasting, King, from Atlanta to the mountaintop, is unlike anything you've ever heard on the airwaves. More than a simple tribute, this is a dynamic recreation of Dr. King's epic freedom trek, combining rare interviews and excerpts from King's greatest speeches with contemporary accounts from those who knew him best. King, from Atlanta to the mountaintop, paints a colorful, full-bodied portrait of one of America's greatest heroes and transports listeners back to one of the most turbulent periods in American history. You'll relive the horror of police brutality in Birmingham.
Of a shocked nation.
You'll feel the hope, defiance, and pride of the March on Washington.
I have a dream today. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day.
And you'll hear King speak out as a lonely voice of reason against the Vietnam War.
God didn't call America to do what she's doing in the world now. God didn't call America to engage in a senseless, unjust war as the war in Vietnam. And we are criminals in that war. We've committed more war crimes almost than any nation in the world. And I'm going to continue to say it.
But this program is more than a historical account of Dr. King's revolutionary achievements. It is an intimate profile of the man behind the movement. It is the story of Martin King as a boy, a deeply sensitive child who sought refuge from his domineering father in the warm, comforting embrace of his grandmother.
Get a whooping.
Come on, get on in here right now.
Oh, Daddy. Oh, Daddy. Oh, Daddy. I'm probably not do it no more, Daddy. Oh, Daddy, that hurt me. Oh, Daddy. I'm probably like...
Grandma ain't slept in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's ain't played a tambourine so well.
You'll hear tales of King, the college man, kicking up his heels and courting the woman who would become his companion in life, and on the front lines of a revolution.
Martin had developed into quite a ladies' man. He was pledging for the alphas and made all the sense. He could jitterbug with the hippest and boldest cats on the commons, and he was a suave and passionate conversationalist to boot, and a voracious eater. But Martin soon grew weary of the bachelor's life. It was in Boston that he met the woman who was to become his bride, a gorgeous young co-ed from the New England Conservatory of Music named Coretta Scott. And was superfine Coretta as knocked out over young Martin as he was knocked out over her?
Well, when I first looked at him, I didn't think he looked very much
like a man. He was a little boy, and I expected to see a man. He had this big voice on telephone, and he was just so young.
And along with the 3-hour program, Bailey Broadcasting Services is again offering a series of exciting 90-second vignettes that will help build listener anticipation for the special.
I'm Lee Bailey, and this is Countdown to King. Violence stalked Martin Luther King, dogged his footsteps like a mean and evil shadow. In Harlem, he was stabbed. In Chicago, he was stoned. In St. Augustine, Florida, his car was nearly overturned.
There was a time that we received as many as 30 and 40 threatening calls a day. And, of course, I received numerous threatening letters. My secretary has come to the point now that she doesn't show me most of these letters, but occasionally I come across them. Within the last few days, I remember receiving a threatening letter, and they say such things as this: you are causing too much trouble in this town, and if you aren't out within 10 days, you and your family will be killed.
On November 22nd, 1963, King was at home with his aide, Bernard Lee, when news came that President Kennedy had been fatally shot.
Martin said, I never shall forget it, right there in that room. He said, I'll never live to see 40. He said, I'll never live to see 40. He said, the nation is too sick. The nation is just simply too sick. So if they can kill the president, he said, I know that they could get me.
This is a countdown to a major radio event. King from Atlanta to the Mountaintop.
Provocative, educational, and highly entertaining. King from Atlanta to the Mountaintop is the story of Martin Luther King Jr., whose abiding love of humanity and courageous struggle for freedom changed the course of history. Told in the vibrant, colorful style that has made Bailey Broadcasting Services the #1 black radio production and syndication company in the world. Don't be left out. Reserve this time-honored classic for your listeners today. For King, from Atlanta to the Mountaintop, a powerful 3-hour radio event.